Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating ideas in modern medicine. The idea that the key to understanding our minds might not actually be in our heads at all. We're going to talk about our second brain and the incredible evidence linking it directly to depression.
So what exactly are we talking about here? Well, Stanford Medicine puts it like this. There's something that affects your mood, your sleep, even your motivation to get up and exercise. But it's not your brain. It's about 2 feet below it. Yep, we're talking about your gut.
And this leads us to the huge question that's going to guide us through this whole explainer. Could the real secret to our mental health actually be hiding in our digestive system? Let's dig in and see what the science has to say.
Now, to even begin to answer a question that big, we first have to understand why on earth scientists have started calling the gut a second brain. And let me be really clear here. This is not just some catchy metaphor. It is a biological fact. Your brain and your gut are locked in this constant, two-way conversation. What happens in one directly and immediately influences the other.
This whole conversation happens along what scientists call the gut-brain axis. You can think of it like a biological superhighway. Messages are flying back and forth along actual physical nerves, like the giant vagus nerve. But they're also sent through chemical signals produced by the trillions of microbes living in your gut. I mean, get this, some of these microbes actually produce neurotransmitters. Over 90% of your body's serotonin, the exact chemical many antidepressants target, is made right there, in your gut.
Okay, so we've got this superhighway connecting the gut and brain, but how deep does that connection really go? Let's look at the evidence that ties this whole system specifically to our mood.
You know, the first big clue that scientists picked up on was a pattern that just kept showing up. For years, they saw that the community of gut bacteria, what they call the microbiota, in people with depression just looked different than in people without it. But the big question was always, okay, so what? Is that just a coincidence, or is the gut actually involved?
And this is where the major breakthrough happened. Using this really clever genetic technique called Mendelian randomization, which basically uses our own genetic variations as a kind of natural experiment, scientists were able to go beyond just seeing a connection. They found a direct causal link. That's right. They identified specific types of gut bacteria that can actively increase or decrease the risk of depression. This was huge. Suddenly, it wasn't just an interesting association anymore. It was starting to look like a cause.
This discovery just blows the doors wide open for a pretty radical idea. If an unhealthy gut can help cause the problem, could a healthy gut be part of the solution? Can we actually hack the microbiome to improve our mental health?
I mean, it's the next logical step, isn't it? If having the wrong mix of bacteria in your gut can contribute to depression, what would happen if we could just do a hard reset? What if we could replace an imbalanced microbiome with a healthy one?
And that brings us to a procedure called fecal microbiota transplantation, or FMT. Now, I know the name is something, but it's a very precise, very controlled medical therapy. And the goal is simple. Take a healthy microbial community from a carefully screened donor and transfer it to a recipient to restore balance.
And the process itself is incredibly rigorous. It all starts with super intense screening of donors. Then there's lab processing and preparation, and the final transfer can be done in a few different ways, from simple oral capsules to other more direct methods.
So we've got the theory, we've got the procedure. But now for the million-dollar question. What's the verdict? Does this radical approach actually work for treating depression?
This is the exact question a major new scientific review in the journal Frontiers in Psychiatry wanted to answer. Researchers pulled together all the best available data from a bunch of different clinical trials to find out once and for all, can FMT really make a difference for depressive symptoms? And the result was pretty striking. The overall analysis found that patients who got FMT had a significant reduction in their depressive symptoms. Now, this number on the screen, minus 1.21, is the standardized mean difference. Don't worry about the term. All you really need to know is that a negative number means the symptoms got better, and this was a big enough number to be statistically significant. In short, it worked. But when they dug into the data, they found something even more interesting. It turns out the treatment was especially powerful for patients who also had disorders like irritable bowel syndrome. And this is a massive clue. It really suggests the therapy is working because it's directly fixing that broken communication line on the gut-brain axis. But there's an important catch. The positive effects were clear. They were significant for up to about 5 months.
After the 6-month mark, though, the benefits started to fade and were no longer statistically significant. This tells us something so important. While that initial reset is powerful, the next big challenge for science is figuring out how to make that new, healthy balance stick for the long run.
So, with these really promising but maybe temporary effects, what does this all mean for the future of how we treat mental health? Well, it's absolutely crucial that we keep a clear scientific perspective here. This field is incredibly exciting, but it's also brand new. The review itself pointed out some key limitations, like a lot of variation between the different studies they looked at. And because of things like that, the overall certainty of the evidence is still officially rated as low for now.
So here's the bottom line. Based on the science we have today, FMT is a really promising, but still very experimental therapy. It's not a silver bullet, but it's starting to look like a potential new tool that could be used alongside other treatments for depression.
And that leaves us with a final, pretty powerful thought to chew on. We started by asking if the secret to mental health could be in our gut, and the evidence is pointing to a resounding, maybe, yeah. And if that's true, what if the future of mental health treatment isn't about finding one pill that fits all, but about creating personalized treatments that are tailored to each and every person's unique microbiome? That is the incredible future this research is pointing us towards.